Hey friends, and welcome to another Tech Tuesday. Guess what? I lost count. I think I told you guys it was week 7 like 3 times in a row. But I went back and counted, and we're officially on week 10 of Tech Tuesday. Woo, woo, woo. So that means if I had been consistent, this would be 2.5 months of going live every Tuesday, plus all of Techmas. So here we are on our 22nd live broadcast together. Thank you so much to those of you who have been faithful to watch these live, and also those of you who go back and watch the replay. And I want to remind you, I would be remiss if I didn't, that I do have an amazing, if I say so myself, I do have a blog where every time that I post one of these videos, I go back and I give you in more detail, where you can save it, print it out, whatever. On my blog, SuzyLolley.com, I give you a post related to this. Now, I don't post the post until the next day because I want to make sure to be able to include this video, okay? And if I'm looking crazy-eyed for a minute, it's because I'm going to give you the link to my blog. I also host a podcast. It's called The Suzy Show. Now, it is in its fledgling stages, so there are 4 really good episodes out there now, and actually they're going to be the topics of my next 4 live videos. But if you're somebody who would rather listen, you know, you're driving in the car or whatever, I talked about in Techmas, you know, some of my favorite podcasts, we'll add mine to the list, because it's really good to learn while you drive. And I want to go ahead and say, behind me there is cray-crayness. Okay, I've got artwork over here. We are currently doing a forced home remodel. We are adding 11 steel piers to our foundation, and that starts happening this week. So we have been, I should say, my husband has been chipping up tile. We've got a shop vac in here, and so pieces of us are everywhere, so I apologize for anything you might see in the background. But anyway, thanks so much for tuning in tonight. So tonight is about flipping your classroom, but not freaking out about it, or flipping without flipping out. But I don't have to just say the title, right? So I want to go ahead and tell you that I am not some kind of a flipping, I'm not a flipping expert. I'm not an expert on flipping your classroom by any stretch of the imagination. What I am is somebody who has found value in the little flip that I did. So I can only imagine if I was still in the classroom, what I could have done with this. So I'm going to start by giving you 7 reasons why you should flip your classroom. Okay? And I have these written down. I have not memorized everything. So if you see me look down, I apologize for that. Number 1, you should flip if you are bored with your own lessons. Now, just to give you some background, if it's your first time tuning in, I currently do instructional technology for our school district, but previously I was an English teacher, and I taught from 8th grade all the way up to 12th grade, most recently 9th and 11th. And so when you teach the same thing, I had taught 9th grade 2010, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So 5 years of 9th grade, 9th grade, 9th grade. And you know, one of the classics is Romeo and Juliet, for instance. You get bored listening to yourself read it, even if you read with enthusiasm. Listening to your students read it, certainly, we'll talk about that. Just teaching that content. So if nothing else, flip the classroom because you want to jazz it up for yourself. Number 2, I'm going to be honest, and this is going to be harsh. If you have ever listened to children read aloud, it is slightly painful. I know that sounded mean. I apologize. It's just the way it is. Especially if you've ever If you've ever heard students listen to or read you Shakespeare out loud, y'all, there's got to be some power to the people here. So flipping allows you not to have to listen to people read out loud. I'm just being honest. Number 3, the third benefit of flipping is it allows you to clone the teacher. You're the teacher. You're one person. When I taught, most of my classes did not have a co-teacher. Now, I was blessed to have really good co-teachers at times in my career, but let's just say that you need to be able to work with a small group of kids. Flipping can allow you to do that. You've put yourself on a video, and then you've put yourself on several videos around the room, and then you're able to be in multiple places at one time, or again, pull that group to your desk. Really cool feature. Number 4, engage students. Now, I'm going to just tell you, when I tried with my students, I tried it with, I believe it was 6th period. 6th period was a wild, wild crew, okay? You know what? Actually, it was 3rd period, I lied, but they were all so wild. The first group I wanted to try my mini flip was, and I'm going to get more into how I flipped, what I flipped, but you know what? The best way to see if something will engage your students is to try with a group. So I tried with my 3rd grade. I did one day of a little mini flip of Romeo and Juliet, and I had them tell me what they thought of it, and they're like, we really liked this. And they were working with the teacher and enjoying it. So I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Number 5, it can create opportunities for interdependent partner work. Again, I'm going to get into more details, but We don't just want partner work where one person is sitting there like this and one person's doing all the work. So a good flip gives everybody a job, and it limits the groups so that, you know, 2 people is a really manageable size to have a group doing some things. So flipping can enable that. Number 6, you can cover the standards. Hold up, wait a minute. There, y'all, covering the standards is like a dirty phrase that we're not supposed to say, but there are some standards that just need to be covered, okay? Especially, I'm going to think of figurative language. I taught figurative language, y'all, every year in 9th grade, and figurative language is introduced in our district, I think, as young as 4th grade. I mean, how many times do you have to learn simile and metaphor, really? So it's not worth me doing some elaborate lesson. I just need to cover it. So that would be a great reason to provide a lesson or do some kind of a flip. And then finally, number 7, you can make better use of student devices. Whether you are a one-to-one school or a BYOD school, I think most people call it BYOT out and about. We're a little different in our district. We call it BYLD. But either way, whatever device they have, giving them a purpose to use it is going to be really an awesome, you know, feature of flipping. So let's get down to it. So like I said, I kind of set the stage that what I decided to flip the first time was with my 9th graders, and it was Romeo and Juliet. Again, I did a little mini flip, so I tried out the concept. I'd heard about flipping, and I'm one of those people that just jumps in. I really do not do a lot of research on it, I'll be honest. You could certainly find a lot more research than what I'm giving you here tonight, but I wanted you to hear more of the whys and then also some unique twists that I put on it. But I took Romeo and Juliet, and as a class, we read the first act together, torturous as it was. If you think I'm being mean, then you go have your students read it out loud. Now, if you had practiced it and learned it as a play, that would be different. But a cold reading of Romeo and Juliet, oh my, y'all, stick a needle in my eye, okay? It's written in 5 acts. So the first act we read together, but the whole time we were reading the first act, I was thinking, okay, I would like to try flipping with this. So my initial plan was just to flip Act 2. And I didn't start with this, but I'm assuming if you clicked on this video, you kind of know what flipped learning is. But flipped learning means some of the things that are more rote, basic things that could be covered within a video or within an activity outside of class are done outside of class so that when you're in class, you can do more hands-on practice type of things. So I'll use math as an example. With math, instead of you giving notes and that's the whole class, and then your students have to go struggle through their homework at night, you do the homework in class, all the practice together, and then at night they're filling in their blanks on their notes or whatever, okay? So just continuing. So my initial plan for Romeo and Juliet was just to flip Act 2, and the way I did that was very silly, okay? I will put these resources in the sidebar. I'll go back and link some things. I just don't want to do it while I'm talking right now. But I actually made a sock puppet video. Okay, there's an app for the iPad called Sock Puppets. I had the version called Complete, which is the paid version. I think it was like $2 or $3. Totally worth it. And I would sit in my bedroom at night. My husband thought I was a lunatic because I would sit in my bedroom at night and I would show you hands. So I want you to imagine real sock puppets, okay, with socks. But in this app, you can do different voices. You can make your voice. So it was me doing up to 4 characters at a time. I know I'm a nut. So I was doing up to 4 characters at a time with different voices, but the cool thing is you can pick what the characters look like, what your little socks look like. You can put different backgrounds in there. You can, even though I have one voice, instead of having to go, oh, hi, it actually will let you kind of not auto-tune, that's not the right word, but change the pitch of your voice. So I was able to take those sock puppets, make them look different, set them in different backgrounds, and it really, you know, my goal was to promote engagement. But again, my husband thought I was a lunatic. He would say, what are you doing in there? Because I'd be in there making all these voices. So I would sit in bed. It was a little painstaking. And again, I just thought about doing it for Act 2, but I really enjoyed it. I think the kids were getting a benefit. So I made these videos on sock puppets for at least a couple of the acts. And those I'm going to show you. Again, I will link. I have a YouTube channel. And it's not been active for a while, but I'm trying to get that going again. But on my YouTube channel, you can see some examples of my Romeo and Juliet sock puppet videos, okay? So my strategy was they would watch the acts at night, okay? Let me make sure I'm reading my notes here. So I uploaded the video to YouTube, which they would be watching at home. I would take the text of the play, which is in the public domain, which is an awesome, if you're going to flip something and you're a lit teacher, take this trick from me. I think it's a great trick, and I didn't have to do very much work. Find the text of that play or that piece of literature in the public domain, okay? And then in your transcript file, if YouTuber. It's not very hard to find this. You could just search, but you're going to paste the text into the closed caption, the transcript file. And then YouTube has this magical power that can paste your words along with what it hears in the video. So it matches up the text for you if you tell it what to say. Now, if you try to have it do automatic captions, they're not very good, okay? It's like you voice texting somebody. It comes out crazy sometimes. But if you can give it the caption file and also have your voice on the video or whatever through sock puppets, through whatever, that's just an idea, it'll match it up. So at night, they watch the video, and then while they were watching, after they were watching, I didn't care which way they did it. I used Socrative at that time to give a quiz. Now, I mentioned Socrative on a previous episode, so if you haven't seen that one, I've talked about different tools for engaging and assessing and delivering content. So go back on a couple Tech Tuesdays ago, and you'll see Socrative if you would like to check that out more. But they took a little quiz along with Socrative. Now, here's the deal. Giving a quiz at home, you might think, oh, that's so risky, Suzy. Okay, here was my goal. My goal was, did you listen to the play and read it? Do you understand what's happening? If you discussed it with a friend to figure that out, fine with me. If you were watching the video while you were taking the quiz, fine with me. Again, what is your goal? When we talk about formative assessment versus summative assessment, there's a difference. I would not send home a test that was more like multiple choice type of thing. But when I need you just to see if you can process information, all I want you to do is understand Shakespeare. We're going to do the deep work in class. That Socrative quiz accomplished that purpose for me. It took a maximum of 15 minutes. So if they were watching the video would not have been longer than 15 minutes. I did try to do a scene or two, kind of find a good stopping place. I didn't want to stop mid-scene, but the range was about 15 minutes. And then they would take the quiz, or again, take it while they're doing it. And here's the deal. Because that was short enough, if they didn't have technology at home, they could easily go to the media center in the morning, during lunch, or whatever, and do it before or after my class to be ready for the next day. Okay, so that was my basic structure. Listen to and watch and read some Romeo and Juliet at night, take a little quiz. Okay, now here's what I did as far as adapting that content into my class. What did we do the next day? Well, I formed 3 groups at night after they read these, okay, and watched. Group 1 were those people who took the quiz, passed the quiz. If they did, I partnered those people up and they did some kind of an application activity. I cannot at this moment find any of my sample activities, but if I do, I was a bad OneDrive saver back in the day. I thought you could just copy everything over and not let it sync. Since then, I know better. But anyway, so if I can find an application activity, I'll share it with you, but it has been like 4 or 5 years since I did it. So if they pass the quiz, I partnered them with somebody else who passed the quiz, and they moved on to an application activity. For example, foil characters in Shakespeare, or something about dramatic structure, or recreating a scene, something that built their knowledge and was kind of fun for them to do. And plus they got to work with a partner, which they enjoyed. Group 2 also took the quiz, but they failed it. Here was my strategy for them. I did some kind of an activity with me, okay? So one of the ones that I remember off the top of my head, they came to the smartboard and we did like a little review activity with, the content they missed. And you know what, guys? These were 9th graders, and I already told you they were ornery, to use a word we use here in the South. They were ornery 9th graders, and they loved working with me. I would have thought that would have either embarrassed them or punched them. But you know what? I think it's been so long since a group of 9th graders got called to the teacher's desk. It's maybe almost reminiscent of elementary school. It needs to happen more often. But while group 1 was in their partner situation, I had group 2 at my desk, just catching them up on a couple things. Then I gave them back their actual quiz, and I said, just fix the ones you got wrong. Based on what we just did, fix the ones you got wrong. I gave them a 70 for doing that. I have a philosophy that I'm not going to give you a full score if you didn't get it the first time. I don't know if my philosophy might change, but I did want them to remediate, but they would not get what the kids who maybe tried a little harder the first night got, okay? But you can, of course, go in the comments and tell me that's terrible, and we'll argue about it. Maybe my philosophy will change. That group, in addition to the group 1, would then move on to that partner activity. Because the activities were deep enough to last 2 or 3 days, it was able to engage them and get them caught up. It's not like they were going to miss out on the activity, okay? And then here's group 3. Group 3 did not flip. And the harsh reality is that if you're going to do a flipped classroom that involves anything done outside of class, you're going to have non-flippers. But guess what? I have something I'm so proud of to share with you. Okay. What I wanted them to do, again, my goal was to understand the material and to absorb some of the higher order thinking. So group 3, I'm losing my numbers here. Group 3 had a special goal, which was we can't actually get them in the partner activity because they've got to catch up on some other things. But I wanted them to see the partner activity in action. So here's what I did. First of all, those kids had to watch the video in class. So with earbuds, turn down low, whatever you have to do, watch the video, take the quiz, just like everybody else. Remediate those who needed a remediation. Okay, but because they were in class and I was helping them, mostly they didn't fail the quiz. I think some of the ones that failed it at home, it was more of a non-focusing than it was an actual, not understanding the information. So I don't remember having to remediate a lot of those kids, but I did make available my activity if needed. Okay, well, by the time they've taken the quiz in class, watched the video in class, and had to remediate if necessary, they don't have time now to form partnerships and do this elaborate activity. So here's what I had them do. I partnered them up as a trio with a group who was already in progress, and they did an observation report. So I told them to write me about what was the activity, what was each partner doing, what were they getting out of it, that kind of thing. Oh my gosh, y'all, these were so hilarious. Again, I wish I had an example, and I might in my garage. There's so many papers out there from when I thought I was going to teach again, and I may. But anyway, they would write funny things like, John has just winked. John is now scratching his leg. John has kicked over his pencil, or what, just funny stuff. So interspersed with them getting this activity, seeing what was happening with the full characters, with the vocabulary, with the dramatic structure, they're also having a funny time because as they're writing this little report, they are just writing funny things about every single thing that's happened. So guys, it may be a coping mechanism, it may be a scaffold, it may not be your idea, but I think it was really powerful because they were still participating. There was something they still had to turn in. They were still seeing those higher order thinking skills in action, but I wasn't having to go back and catch them up on a different track. I don't know. Today, now that I have an LMS, I think so much of this process could be more automated, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Here are some other thoughts I have for you. If you don't want your students to do homework, or you're like, Suzy, they're just not going to, it's not worth it, then I have a hero. I've talked about her before. If you've not checked out, her name is Catlin Tucker. And CatlinTucker.com, it's C-A-T like a cat. There's no Caitlin. So CatlinTucker.com, she talks all the time about the station rotation. And another way of saying that is the in-class flip. I'm going to give Elizabeth Crook credit for that. I know she's in our district too. And so the in-class flip or station rotation just means we're not taking it home for homework. So you still watch the video, but you're watching it right here in front of me. And then you're doing your quiz, and then we're forming those groups. Just an easy adaptation. It will take more class time, but you probably will get more work done. So it's totally up to you. Number 2, to go with that, flipping does not mean homework. So, and along with what I just said, flip does not mean it has to be done at home. Okay? And then I want to give a couple, I was about to say something and it was unnecessary. I want to give a couple of problems and solutions. Okay? Some of you are going to be saying to me, Suzy, there's too much to do, or I don't have enough class time. Here's the deal. If there's too much to do, do not make your own videos. Repeat after me. I will not make my own videos. You've got Khan Academy. You've got all kinds of stuff already on YouTube. You've got SchoolTube. You've got just every resource you could possibly want. Go pull something. And it doesn't just have to be a video. It can be an activity that draws them into the learning. Okay? It could be something they do. It could be a discussion board if you have a learning management system. But it's something that gets them engaged with the content instead of you getting up and lecturing like, what's his name, on Ferris Bueller, okay? Next, structures are going to help you save time over the long run. So if you feel like, again, you don't have time or there's not enough class time, structures that you get in place are reusable. So when I made that observation report, I was able to use it over and over. When I figured out the thing about putting the captions over on the transcript for the video, that was something that would be there forever. You're going to be able to go look at my YouTube videos right after this. So I know you feel like you don't have time, but actually this is going to open up some time for you, and you can make yourself some more time by creating a structure and then just repeating that structure every time. And also, if students aren't doing well, going faster at a mediocre level does not help them. So you know what? I'm going to tell you a secret. You may not finish every standard, but man, if they can master the standards that are really important, isn't that what matters? I won't tell on you. I want to say too that a flip allows deeper content in less time, or in the same amount of time at least. So whereas I could be up talking, like maybe you're watching this video right now and you're multitasking, you're on your phone, you're checking other things on Facebook. I totally get it. You're checking email, you're tuning in, tuning out. With a flip, that kid can watch the video over and over, do the activity more than one time, and so it's going to start to get back in there. So it's really going to save time because I'm not having to remediate as much as I did. So go ahead and lay out a timetable, see what flipping can help you conquer. For example, I just flipped Romeo and Juliet. That's it. I taught at that school for a whole year, but the only thing that I flipped was Romeo and Juliet. Now, had I stayed teaching public education and not teach, I still work in public ed, but I teach teachers. If I had stayed teaching freshmen, is what I meant to say, then I could have had these structures in place and kept going with them. So if you just want to flip one unit, it worked for me, and it really was something that, again, brought an invigoration of my passion again. And I also want to say, too, that you don't have time not to flip. Even if it's for one unit, try it. You'll like it, okay? I'm going to link for you my sock puppet video. So as soon as I hang up on the video and I post it, I'm going to link some of these resources for you. How you can download the Sock Puppets app if you would like that. I'm going to link you to Catlin Tucker, and a couple of other resources will be embedded in my blog tomorrow. So here's what I need you to do for me. If you love these videos, will you please share? Will you tweet them? Will you tag them with EdTech or your favorite chat that you feel like flipped learning in this case? Number 2, will you go follow my blog or subscribe by email? There is a little scanner QR code at the very top of this screen right now. And so if you go scan that, it'll take you not only to a free giveaway of 10 breakout puzzles, but it'll also let you subscribe to my email list, which would be so much appreciated. And then, if you liked it, tweet about it, share it. Hope you guys have a great night. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same place. See ya.